What is the film about?
It's mostly about hands and feet and how they move, but others are calling it a revenge tragedy.
How long is the film?
Either 40 minutes or 4 hours. It fluctuates with the mood of the audience.
Who's in the film?
A lot of laughing women are in the film. I don't know any of their names. They sit in this big room and they laugh, and some of them are naked, but we don't ever see the naked ones. We just hear them laughing, and sometimes it's mentioned that they're naked.
Is the film in color?
Yes. Pink and teal primarily.
How does the film progress?
There are occasional cutaways to what might be described as a glittering mechanized ferret of some sort, which one might theorize is what the women are laughing at. Somewhere in the middle, several of the women stop laughing and begin to whisper, and the implication is that an act of revenge has taken place somewhere in the city. There's also a scene that was cut from the final version of the film in which the women are outdoors and they're being trained by a strange man how to fire rifles.
How does it end?
It ends when a sort of pall falls over the faces of the women, and the audience begins to feel that it has gained some sort of secret knowledge.
Who made the film?
He goes by many names. Roland Feldspar, Rodney Porchstone. He's sometimes referred to in the trade press as the Dongle. I've never met him, but I've heard stories about him. He can mesmerize people with his words. He could make you join the Royal Navy or drive your Ferrari into a ravine just by splitting an infinitive. I'm in awe of his work, but I'm afraid of him.
What inspired the film?
Several paintings by Rembrandt, the Charterhouse of Parma by Stendhal, and the filmography of Jonathan Taylor Thomas. The sound design was inspired by the acoustics in a roller derby rink in southern Nebraska.
What's the best way to see the film?
IMAX or cell phone. See it in IMAX if you want to truly appreciate the pores in the skin of the women. And see it on a cell phone to gain a greater understanding of just how tiny women can be.
There's a fax.
Read it.
To the filmmakers, we would like to register a complaint about the film. We entered into the film under the reasonable assumption that we would be seeing a film that would respect our time. Instead, we have been given a mere description of a film which moreover doesn't sound much more interesting than what is currently before us. We find this sort of thing tiresome, and not too different from the films we saw several decades ago that we also found tiresome. Whatever happened to a nice, straightforward story where Robin Williams is a carnival barker who helps a high society lady, played by Meryl Streep, remember how to laugh? Meryl Streep remembers so that we might forget our own troubles. If we don't forget our troubles, we might eventually have to take action to resolve them. We tried taking action before, and it didn't work. We're not asking you to dumb down your film. In fact, there's a great deal of potential intellectual content in the proposed scenario. For instance, the sociological contrast between life at the carnival and life at the Upper West Side apartment building, where the Streep character might reside. Even if you were to retain your annoying neo-structuralist conceit, we would far prefer a description of a good film to a description of a boring and silly one. If you can't even manage that, we might give up on movies altogether and just watch TV, which the internet says is better than movies now anyway. Sincerely, the people of Poughkeepsie.
year is 1973. Some big shot studio exec, forget his name, wore aviator sunglasses, asked Robert Altman if he'd like to do an Americanized take on Bertolucci's Last Tango in Paris. Altman's trepidatious because he's currently at his height artistically and knows it, and so doesn't want to be seen as cashing in, but he agrees to do it under the condition that he gets full artistic control. This being the early 70s, that's no problem. Manhattan is the setting. The exec says, Last Tango in New York? I love it. Sybil Shepherd lives on the Upper West Side with her husband. Elliot Gould lives in the Village and is the kind of sarcastic stoner he usually played. They run into each other in a record store, and the first thing she says to him is, Did you just get out of bed, or do you always look like that? And he just gives her this contemptuous fake smile, cigarette sticking out the corner of his mouth. And from there they have the most torrid affair in the history of movies. At the end, the husband finds out and kills Gould with a .45, and the credits roll to a Court and Spark era Joni Mitchell song. Now, a third of the movie is arguably one long sex scene, but Altman's very sneaky because we never actually see any of the sex. Having pioneered overlapping dialogue, he tries his hand at overlapping images, so while they're going at it on the soundtrack, we're watching, for instance, some minor character making an egg and a heroin addict in a subway car trying to stand up, which creates a ton of confusion in Hollywood, especially when the movie's submitted for a rating. They want to give it an R rating, but the exec, who's as befuddled as anybody, wants them to give it an X because it'll be more marketable. And in a weird way, it deserves the X because while there's no on-screen sex or nudity, and even the revenge killing at the end is off-screen, it's the most adult movie ever made.
What's it called?
Wouldn't it be nice if it were so? Wouldn't it be nice if it were so? Wouldn't it be nice if it were so? Wouldn't it be nice if it were so?